This tiny bit of research, which recently came out this November 1st, 2017, is actually going to force the whole medical community to ask a compelling question. That question being is, how much of a role does naturally occurring dietary fats actually play in this health or heart disease crisis, I should say? Because researchers, they noticed there was a disconnect between the naturally occurring dietary fats and the type of fats that were actually found in the formation of atherosclerosis. Because of this. The fats that were actually causing this type of heart disease were different in carbon structure. They didn't look similar to anything found in the animal kingdom. So where were these specific type of fats coming from? Well, the researchers drew a connection, obviously initially a correlation. And of course, as future time goes on, even this research has to be proven to have a causative effect. But the bacteria in the mouth, the bacteria that causes gum disease, was producing the exact same type of lipid in its carbon structure that was found in the creation of atherosclerosis. So, how much of a role does it play? They weren't finding the naturally occurring dietary fats. They're finding this particular fat produced by something called Bacteroidetes. I apologize. Tough word to say. Say it a few times, you'll get it down. Bacteroidetes. So, Bacteroidetes may have been the culprit because they were producing the type of fat that was found in the formation of atherosclerosis. So, let's look right into the research itself. Bacterial fats, not dietary ones, may deserve the blame for heart disease. Research could explain why gum disease is associated with atherosclerosis. So, we quote the research. They found lipids with a chemical signature unlike those from animals at all. It's like an alien fat, except produced by bacteria. Instead, these strange lipids come from a specific family of bacteria. To quote the researchers, I always call them greasy bugs because they make so much lipid. They're constantly shedding tiny blebs of lipids, pleasant thought, which looks like a bunch of grapes on a bacterial scale. The bacteria called Bacteroidetes makes this distinctive fat. The molecules have unusual fatty acids which branch chains in odd numbers of carbons. Mammals typically don't make either branch chain fatty acids or fatty acids with these odd number of carbons, but these bacteria do. To proceed, heart attacks and strokes are the crisis we notice, but they result from a slow process of atherosclerosis, the hardening and clogging of the arteries with fatty substances called lipids. Immune cells stick to the walls of blood vessels, scavenge lipids, and multiply. These blood vessels inflame and thicken as smooth muscle cells lining them change, swelling and dividing to create plaques, clogs, and warty growths called atheromas. Another pleasant thought, but that's how the fatty acids do it. The immune system goes, what the heck? I don't recognize this. Now it makes sense. Alien fat, not from animals, not something we're used to consuming in a long period of time. For a very long time, doctors and researchers assumed correlation, not causation, that the lipids came from eating fatty, cholesterol-rich food. Makes sense initially, but doesn't play out. But the researcher hasn't borne this out. Some people who eat large amounts of the foods were thought were the source of the fat, such as eggs, butter, fatty fish, and meat, which don't necessarily develop in heart disease. In fact, a few of those right there are actually shown to be beneficial in the prevention of heart disease. So, how exactly do these Bacteroidetes actually do the damage, which I kind of alluded to here? So we go a little bit more detail into the research, and this will explain it to you. It says the marked chemical difference between the Bacteroidetes lipids and the human body's native lipids may be the reason they cause disease, suggests the researcher. The immune cells that initially stick to the blood vessel walls and collect the lipids recognize them as foreign. They are. These immune cells react to lipids and set off alarm bells. The team showed that despite being non-native lipids, the Bacteroidetes lipids could be broken down by an enzyme in the body that processes lipids into the starting material to make inflammation-enhancing molecules, meaning the lipids that are being produced by the Bacteroidetes are actually the materials needed to produce inflammatory compounds. So, the Bacteroidetes lipids have a double whammy. on blood vessels. The immune system sees them as a signal of a bacterial invasion, which they are, in the gum disease, and then the enzymes break them down and supercharge the inflammation. Pretty scary altogether. But again, an incredibly seductive question that's being raised by these researchers, and I hope that they look into it with a lot more detail and repeat the researchers' findings as well, so we can validate it, move on, and look for better ways of treating heart disease than potentially pointing the finger at the wrong culprit. Again, this is Ralph Giordano signing off. Abstract is here for you to look at to research further on your own. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you find this information useful. This is incredibly groundbreaking research. I just regret the media doesn't pick it up because it is so important. Again, signing off. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you all again in 7 days. Bye, guys.